the last vlog we left you in Carnarvon, where we supported the local producers, got to see our first king waves and felt like real astronauts for a few hours. In this leg of our trip, we get to travel to Coral Bay.
We are now in Coral Bay.
Coral Bay is a small area that is protected from the Indian Ocean by the Ningaloo Reef. In fact, every time you look out to the horizon, you can see the constant line of breaking waves where the reef begins.
And because of this protection from the rough seas, we had access to a great area where the water was really calm.
However, what is amazing about this reef, unlike the more famous Great Barrier Reef, is that the coral starts right from the sand beach.
So that means that you don't need to get on a boat to see the coral and colourful fish. You simply walk to the water's edge, put on a snorkel and start floating over the reef.
And these are some clips that we took a few meters from the water's edge.
And if you didn't want to get into the water, the fish came to you. How are the fish feeding in Coral Bay?
By the way, the yellow arrow shows you where the coral started.
For this vlog, we wanted to show you what a day in Coral Bay entailed for us.
In the morning, Dad and I would get up before sunrise and jog to either look for potential photography locations or turn our ideas into reality by actually taking photos. During these mornings, I learned a lot from Dad. For example, although we have sunlight for most of the day, for certain photos we only had a very short time to take them. The colours in the sky only lasted for about 15 minutes, and if we wanted the reflection to also be seen in the sand, we had to take the photo directly after the sand got wet by the incoming waves. Then when we were satisfied with the photos, we would sprint to our next scouted location to take more photos. Ultimately, the biggest challenge turned out to be getting back in time to have breakfast with the rest of the family.
During the day, as a family, we either went for walks or took advantage of the great snorkeling. Although there were a few sealed roads, ultimately you ended up finding yourself walking across the sand dunes.
And the current will take you all the way back to our Carnarvon park.
And that is exactly what Mum and Dad did a few hours later. They walked 700 metres down south and then let the very gentle current float them back to where we were staying.
Once they floated back to the main beach area, the rest of us joined them for a snorkel amongst the coral.
A lot of the coral reminded me of big flowers, cabbages and cauliflower. I also liked that there were so many nooks and crannies for the fish to hide in. However, what stood out the most was the variety and colour of the fish.
The fish were definitely my favourite bit.
We're now on a boat where we're going to do snorkeling and we're hoping to see manta rays. Before we get too much into this section of the vlog, we wanted to thank Peter Wandmaker. Peter is a professional underwater photographer who came along on our trip, and he was kind enough to let us use his photos. All of the photos in this section and one video clip came from Peter. Dad will leave his contact details in the description. Thank you, Peter.
All of the underwater video clips, except for one, were taken with our little camera. We'll let you work out which clip we were more than happy for Peter to take for us.
Getting back to the story, before we went looking for manta rays, the tour group decided that we should have a snorkel to get us into the swing of things.
In fact, we were also lucky that at the end of the day, we were taken on another snorkel journey to a coral cleaning station.
And once the first snorkeling session was over, we focused on finding manta rays. Very quickly a manta ray was sighted. We were briefed on the do's and don'ts, and we slipped into what felt like a dream.
There's no better feeling when I'm close to you. I look into your eyes as an ocean blue. When I'm down, you lift my feet off the ground. There's no other feeling when I'm next to you. No one else around, just a space for two. There's no better feeling when I'm close to you. I look into your eyes as an ocean blue. When I'm down, you lift my feet off the ground. There's no other feeling when I'm next to you. No one else around.
floating into the most amazing fantasy world.
We just swam with the Manta Ray, and we swam with one that was 3.5 meters wide, and she was heavily pregnant.
The first of 3 shark encounters was when the group was taken snorkeling at the coral cleaning station. We found ourselves looking down at 2 reef sharks. Although sharks petrify me, reef sharks are generally harmless.
Another shark that we saw on our way back was a shovel-nosed shark. Most of us were pleased to be in the boat, but our photographer Peter and another crew member called Jack jumped in to swim with it. Thankfully, these sharks are also harmless.
There's a tiger shark right below us. Unlike the other 2 types, these sharks have been known to attack humans. And for this reason, we were more than happy to let Peter, the expert, jump in and film it for us. Later on, I did hear Peter say that tiger sharks are not a real threat in these areas, but I decided to let other people be the guinea pigs.
Once we left the sharks behind, Poppy and I were very lucky to be the only 2 guests invited to spend time up top with Captain Scotty.
We both really enjoyed talking to Scotty, as he knew heaps about the sea and sea life, and he also shared a lot of information about the area. The fact that he was also a very nice and funny person was simply a bonus.
In the evenings, we always ended up having dinner together. Often finishing the day with a few games of cards.
And at times, venturing out into the darkness to hunt and gather a delicious sweet treat